South Africa is angry every day on social media, in taxis, at workplaces, and in our communities. The conversation keeps coming back to one issue: foreigners. Many South Africans believe that immigrants are taking jobs, overloading public services, and contributing to crime. But here's the question nobody wants to ask. What if we're fighting the wrong battle? What if the biggest threat to South Africans isn't immigration at all? What if the real crisis is something much bigger, something much deeper, and something that affects millions more South Africans than immigration ever could? Today, we're going to unpack South Africa's immigration policy, separate fact from fiction, examine who actually comes into the country legally, look at the reality of illegal immigration, and then discuss the elephant in the room: South Africa's unemployment crisis. Because while we're busy arguing about foreigners, millions of South Africans are struggling to find work, and the numbers are shocking. Let's start with the basics. Many people talk about immigration in South Africa without actually understanding how the system works. South Africa does not have an open border policy. Foreign nationals who want to live, work, study, or do business in South Africa must generally apply for legal documentation. These include visitor visas, work visas, critical skills visas, business visas, study visas, permanent residence permits, refugee and asylum permits. In other words, millions of foreign nationals who are in South Africa are here legally. They entered through border posts. They applied for documentation. They complied with immigration requirements. Whether we agree with immigration levels or not, the reality is that many foreigners in South Africa are following the law, and that's an important distinction, because legal immigrants are not the same as illegal immigrants. Too often, the two groups get lumped together. Now, let's address the issue that many South Africans are concerned about. Illegal immigration does exist. No serious person denies that. South Africa has long borders, significant economic pull compared to many neighboring countries, and major migration flows from across the region. Zimbabwe and Mozambique are among the largest sources of migration into South Africa due to geography, economic conditions, and historical migration patterns. Some migrants enter legally and overstay visas. Two others enter through unauthorized routes. That is a legitimate issue for any sovereign country. Every nation has the right to control its borders. Every nation has the right to enforce immigration laws. But here's where the conversation becomes dangerous: when frustration turns into blaming every foreigner for every problem in South Africa. Because once it happens, facts disappear and emotions take over. This is where the conversation gets uncomfortable. Let's look at the numbers. South Africa's official unemployment rate remains among the highest in the world, sitting around 33%. The expanded unemployment rate, which includes discouraged work seekers, exceeds 40%. Now here's the critical question: did foreigners create this crisis? The answer is no. South Africa's unemployment crisis existed long before immigration became the dominant political issue. The country has struggled with unemployment for decades. In fact, even if every undocumented migrant disappeared tomorrow, South Africa would still have millions of unemployed citizens. The numbers simply don't support the idea that immigration is the primary cause of unemployment. Let's talk about the people carrying the biggest burden: young South Africans. According to official statistics, youth unemployment remains catastrophic. For South Africans aged 15 to 34, unemployment is around 46%. For the younger 15 to 24 age group, it is close to 60%. Think about that. More than half of young South Africans entering adulthood cannot find work. Imagine finishing school. Imagine having dreams. Imagine wanting to build a future, and then discovering that there is no place for you in the economy. That is the real national emergency. Not Twitter arguments, not viral videos, not political slogans. A generation without opportunities. The data paints a clear picture. The most unemployed South Africans are young people, first-time job seekers, people without work experience, those living in poorer communities, people excluded from growing economic sectors. Graduates generally have lower unemployment rates than those without matric. But even graduate unemployment remains a serious concern because the economy is not expanding fast enough to absorb skilled workers. This tells us something important. The problem isn't simply a skills problem. It's a jobs problem. You can educate people all day, but if the economy doesn't create opportunities, unemployment remains. This is where the conversation should be focused. Instead of asking, how do we remove foreigners? We should also be asking, how do we create millions of jobs? Because that's the only long-term solution. South Africa needs an economy that creates work at scale. And the sectors with the biggest potential include manufacturing. South Africa cannot consume its way to prosperity. It must produce. Factories create jobs for skilled and semi-skilled workers. Countries like China, Vietnam, and South Korea reduce poverty through industrialization. South Africa needs more value-added manufacturing, not just exporting raw materials, producing finished products, building industries, creating jobs, infrastructure roads, rail, ports, housing, energy. Large infrastructure projects create immediate jobs while improving long-term productivity. Agriculture and agro-processing. South Africa has world-class agricultural potential, but the biggest opportunity isn't just farming. It's processing agricultural products locally, turning raw products into finished goods, creating value chains, creating employment. Digital services and technology. The future economy will require software developers, data analysts, cybersecurity specialists, AI engineers, and digital entrepreneurs. South Africa already has the talent. What it needs is scale. Green energy, renewable energy, battery manufacturing, and green industrial projects represent major opportunities for future growth. These sectors can absorb both skilled and semi-skilled workers if developed correctly. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Stay informed.